Hello, welcome to my channel. My name's Katie. Today is going to be another one brand testing video. So basically we're going to be testing out a bunch of products from Technic. Most of these are like fairly new stuff. They've definitely like come to Technic within the last few months or so. I did do a one brand testing Technic video early 2019 and I remember having like quite a mixed experience with the products. I feel like I found a few like hidden gems. Well, they have like this really nice strobe effects cream that I used as a primer. They have some really nice highlighters, but I did find a lot of the products I used I didn't really like that much. But they've released a lot of new stuff since then and I was quite curious about it, so I've gone and bought basically a full face. There may be an odd product missing, but for the most part it's a full face. I've even got some duplicates of things, like I've got 2 foundations. But let's get started because I'm quite excited. I feel like the products just look like they've kind of upped their game since the last time I bought from them. They just look a bit better quality, but obviously that's just looking at them. We've got to still try them and see if they're better quality. Okay, so as usual, I'm going to start with concealers. I did actually buy 2 concealers. So one of them is their 3-in-1 Canvas Contour, Sculpt and Conceal, and I got it in the shade Porcelain, and I was very shocked when I opened this and discovered it's got a big ass wand. I love concealers with big ass wands. I feel like it's generally a sign of good quality. Like Tarte Shape Tape is obviously the prime example there. The shade actually looks like pretty decent because, you know, they've not got a good shade range. I will say that off the bat of pretty much all of their base products. They really need to improve in that category. I think this concealer has about 4 or 5 shades. They definitely need way more than that. But considering this is a lighter shade, I thought that it doesn't actually look too bad. I would say it has got a more neutral undertone. I did also get this, it's a white base and concealer. I think it was like a Halloween product because it's called like Gothica or something. But I thought that would come in handy because, I mean, I do occasionally end up buying concealers that are a bit too dark for me. So something to mix them with would be good. And this also has a big doe foot, which is great. But I mean, I feel like this concealer might match me, so I might not even need this. But this will come in handy with other concealers that I have in my collection. So I'm going to do what I normally do, test this out in my eye area. I'm going to put it on one under eye, an eyelid, and compare it to a bare eye. Yeah, see, I feel like that colour is actually like pretty good. I mean, I don't know. Is it a little bit dark? I don't know. I feel like that might work well. I am having like a bit of a skin texture situation right now. My skin has gotten quite bumpy. I think I'm having like an allergic reaction possibly to something. I'm not sure. At first I thought it was like the mask's giving me a rash, but then I realized it's like kind of gone bumpy on my forehead as well. So I don't know, it might be a new moisturizer I'm using, but yeah, we've got some skin issues today. It happens. I'm pretty shocked. That is really good coverage. I can barely see my veins, I can barely see my bag, and maybe I've found concealers that are a tiny bit more coverage than this, but I would say that is basically full coverage, you know. That was unexpected because that is a very cheap, affordable concealer. The formula doesn't seem too matte and it doesn't seem too oily at the same time. It's kind of got the right balance, which is really good. Obviously it is settling under my eyes. I find that pretty much all concealers do this, but it does settle into creases. It's obviously not downplaying the texture I've got on my face, but I don't feel like any base products are really gonna do much to help the texture I've got on my face at the moment. But I am very pleasantly surprised by that. That is really good actually. I was not expecting that. I'm interested to see what it's like over foundation, but we'll test that out later in the video. So usually I would use the concealer to do an eye base, but I have actually got a eye primer from them, so I'm going to use that instead. So I'm just going to wipe off this concealer. Okay, so I did buy this, it's called the Eye Canvas eyeshadow base. It looks like this. It's in the shade Light. I think there was either 2 or 3 shades. See, I generally don't really use eye primers or eye bases. I just use my concealer as a base, and I find that that works perfectly fine. I figured I'd give this a go because it does basically just look like a concealer anyway. The shade is definitely very pale. Yep, that's gonna work fine. And the thing is, I don't know whether or not to set it down afterwards because I feel like a lot of people when they use eye bases, they don't. But for me, I just feel like that's gonna make everything crease and like surely it's just going to make your eyeshadow settle weirdly. But the amount of people that just use these sorts of products without setting it makes me think, is that what I'm supposed to be doing? I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's blanked out my eyelids pretty good. It's blended out pretty nicely. So, I mean, it just strikes me like as a concealer, really. I don't really understand what the difference would be between using a concealer. I feel like I'm going to have to set it down because it's already, like, creasy. I just don't get how people don't set their eyelids down before they do eyeshadow. Am I missing something here? So we have our eye base. So I did buy an eyeshadow palette from Technic. This is their Ibiza Pressed Pigments palette. It looks like this. It is a bright rainbow palette. I thought it looked really nice. It's mostly mattes, but there are a few shimmers in there as well. The eyeshadow palette that I tried from them last year, I think it was called like the Eyeshadow Treasury or something. I didn't really get along with that one. I didn't think it was great, but obviously just because like if there's one bad eyeshadow palette, it doesn't mean that the whole brand makes bad eyeshadows. And I feel like I have seen Tammy review this at some point on her channel, and I feel like she said it was good. So I don't know, I feel like it looks nice. I have high hopes, but you never know. So I do like to just go off camera and do one eye, and then I will repeat it on the other eye on camera. So I'll be back, probably with something quite colourful. Okay, we're back with subpar eyeshadow, as usual. Subpar meaning me and my application, not the eyeshadow palette. Eyeshadow palette, actually pretty impressed with. There's some good pigmentation there. I found that everything applied over the cut crease really well. I feel like sometimes a lot of matte shades, they'll like kind of come out really chalky, they'll go patchy, they won't blend with each other, but they seem to have worked like decently over that cut crease. So obviously there's a lot more shades in this palette, a lot of things to play around with. So I'm starting with this light pink shade up here, and I'm putting some of that in the crease area. And I'm using this quite neon-y, bright pink shade here, and that's going for the crease as well. And then I'm going back to the eye canvas and using this to do a cut crease, and I thought it worked pretty well for that. Okay, so over the cut crease I'm starting with sort of yellowy and mustardy shade here, and that's going in the inner third. And then next we're going with the orange shade here. Then I'm using the red above that in the next part. Then I'm using this purpley shade here. Then we're going blue. Then I'm adding a bit of green in the last part. And under the brow bone I'm using this matte white. This palette does have a matte white and a matte black, which in my opinion all palettes should have. So I'm happy about that. And just using this under the brow bone. Okay, I'm just putting a bit of black eyeliner in my waterline. I didn't buy one from Technic, so I'm just using a Morphe one. Okay, so overall, I would say I'm pretty impressed with the eyeshadow palette. This eyeshadow look isn't the best, but every time I do first impression, I feel like the eyeshadow I do is never particularly good. But I feel like in terms of pigmentation, you can see it's all performed well, it's all blended reasonably well. I've not got much to complain about. I feel like this is actually pretty good palette, definitely a huge step up from the palette that I tried last year, but I still feel like I need to play around with this a lot more before I can give like a full review on it, because obviously I've only used them one way. But so far from first impressions, I'm pretty pleased with the palette. Moving on, I did buy 2 mascaras from Technic. So I got the Technic Lash Drama Volumizing Mascara, and then I got their Intoxicate Mascara. Again, the mascara that I tried last year, don't remember the name of it, but I wasn't that impressed with it. So I'm hoping that these will be a bit better. The Lash Drama one has this massive chunky wand like this. And the Intoxicate mascara, it has more of a hourglass wand. Bit of a Too Faced Lash Paradise sort of wand. So because I've got 2, I'll just test one out on one eye, one on the other. We can see what they're like compared. So I'll start with the Lash Drama one. God, this is chunky. And we'll do this eye. Okay, so that's the Lash Drama mascara. It's not done a bad job. I feel like it has given some volume. I feel like because the wand's quite chunky, it's a little bit hard to kind of apply it evenly without kind of it clumping together a bit. But I got there in the end. It's not too bad. It's not the best mascara I've used ever, but I feel like it's definitely better than that one that I tried last year. It's got more volume. So yeah, from first impressions, it's not a bad mascara. I do find a lot of mascaras get a bit better the more that you use them. So we'll see. I will keep using the hell out of that, obviously. Try out the Intoxicate mascara on the other eye, see how different this one is. Okay, I definitely think I prefer this mascara. It's definitely like less clumpy. I think you should be able to see that the lashes are a lot more separated on this side than they are on this side, at least in my opinion anyway. I actually am quite liking this Intoxicate one. I did manage to kind of smudge it everywhere on my eyeshadow, but hopefully it should remove once it dries. We'll see about that. But yeah, this one I'm quite liking. It's got good volume. Again, it's not too clumpy. It doesn't stick the lashes together as much as this other one did. Yeah, that one is pretty good actually. That could be a good mascara, but again, mascaras do change when you leave them a bit, so definitely way happier with the mascaras this year than last year. Okay, so moving on to base now. I did actually get 2 foundations. So I got the Sculpt and Define Matte Finish Foundation, and I got the Pro Finish Matte Fix Longwear Foundation. They did have quite a few foundations. There were some like glowier ones as well, but generally I prefer a matte, but obviously I didn't know which one would be the best out of the 2 matte foundations they had, so I just got both. So the Sculpt and Define one, quite interestingly, has got a doe foot applicator, which we like. And then the Matte Fix Pro Finish one is just a squeezy tube one. I kind of want to try the Sculpt and Define one today. I think I will use this Pro Finish one in a rotation get ready with me. I should be filming one in a week or 2, so I'll use this in another video, but I'm going to try out the Sculpt and Define Matte Finish Foundation first. Apparently this is a medium coverage one. Looking at the shade, I feel like, again, it actually looks like pretty pale. I'd say it's actually a tiny bit on the warmer side, more so than neutral. Did I say the shade name? I think it's Porcelain, but I can't see it written on here. It's a light shade anyway that I got. Again, they really need a better shade range. As I've said, I've got very textured, very blemishy skin right now. It's not in a great state, so I'm not expecting this to, you know, erase my texture or anything, but I just want to see what the finish is like and what the coverage is like. The Technic foundation that I tried last year actually did coincidentally give me an allergic reaction. But these ones look like they're better quality anyway than the one I had last year, so hopefully that does not happen again. Okay, so that is the foundation applied. I did build it up a tiny bit. Colour-wise, I feel like it's a tiny bit dark. Easily fixed though with a bit of white mixer, or I could even use that white concealer that I've got. The finish is not bad. I would say I wouldn't say it's matte though. Like I can see like kind of dew on my skin, but it's not overkill dew. So it's more of a like kind of satin finish, I would say. The coverage is not bad. I would say it's medium, but it's not full coverage. But it did build up quite nicely, and I would like to see what it looks like when I don't have such bumpy textured skin, because all I can see is my friggin' bumpy skin right now. But I don't think that's... But I feel like that would be the case with any foundation that I use right now. But I have to say, like, I don't feel like it looks bad at all. Like, it's got a nice, decent finish, really. I don't feel like it's unflattering on the skin or anything. Maybe I would prefer it to be like a tiny bit less dewy. That's all I can say, but it should be fine once it's mattified down. But yeah, that's really not bad at all. I'm not disliking that foundation. Obviously I'll need to test the wear. I'll need to just test that foundation a lot generally. So back to the concealers that we've got. So I'll go back to the 3-in-1 canvas one. I'm going to put some of this under my eyes, but I'm going to add a bit of the white in with it just to kind of brighten a bit. Okay, so that has definitely bumped up the coverage. Oh god, just annoyed because all I can see is like the bumps on my face, my skin. It just really looks quite awful, I'm not gonna lie, but that's not the foundation's fault. I did get 2 setting powders, so I got their rice powder, which is a loose one, and then I also got their super fine blotting powder, which is a pressed one. The pressed one obviously looks very pale, it's basically white, so there shouldn't be any colour issues with that. I am a little bit apprehensive about the colour of this rice powder though. It does look like a little bit orangey. I'm going to try it out anyway and hope for the best, but I'm skeptical that this colour is going to work. I'll use the rice powder under my eyes, and then I'll use the super fine blotting powder to set the rest of my face down. Okay, yeah, so that is definitely too dark. I don't know if you'll see on camera, but it's definitely like quite orangey looking. It's definitely not worked the best in terms of colour. In terms of finish, I don't know, I feel like it looks a little bit patchy, a little bit like heavy under the eyes. I'm not sure about that. The only way I could see this working is if I had a very pale foundation on. So I will try it out that way, but I don't know, I'm not really loving the finish of it either. But we'll switch over to the super fine blotting powder now, and I'm going to mattify the rest of my face down. Okay, so I would say that this powder has like toned down my texture a bit, which is nice, because we really need that right now. Yeah, I quite like the finish of this other powder. Everything's mattified. Yeah, I'm quite liking this one. Not so sure about the rice powder, but this one, pretty decent actually. I feel like I like the finish that it's left on my skin. Okay, so moving on to cheeks. I got this palette. It's called the Prism Princess Powders. It looks like this. I expected this to be a lot bigger than it was. It is actually kind of tiny, but it's got some highlighters in it, and I think they're all meant as highlighters, but when I saw it I thought, oh, I could use these as kind of bronzers, and then obviously the lighter shades as a highlighter. So I'm going to try it out that way. I don't know how to use Solar Sister or Cotton Candy as the bronzer though. I'll go with Cosmic Cotton Candy. So the reason why I was hoping this would be bigger is because it's just going to be easier to get my brushes in. I'm using this Beauty Bray brush, and I'm going to shove it in there as much as I can, although it's quite bloody difficult, and see if I can bronzer this. I don't know how well it's going to work obviously because I think they're all highlighter formulas, but yeah, I don't really feel like this is showing up particularly well. Let's try a different brush. Yeah, I don't feel like this is particularly effective at bronzing. It's not really done a lot. I guess I'll just leave that. In terms of the highlight shades, when I swatch them, they do seem quite sheer and more so like glittery. That's kind of what it looks like. So I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I don't feel like this is going to be the best formula highlighter. The other highlighters I tried for them, I think they're called like the Get Gorgeous ones. They are so pigmented and stunning, so they have got decent highlighters available. I'm not sure I picked out the best guy here, but I'm tempted to get some more of those Get Gorgeous ones. So I'm going to use this shade at the bottom here and attempt to do some highlighting. Yeah, it's not really showing up at all, to be honest. Don't know if maybe it's the powder, because sometimes setting powders do fake highlight not show up as well, but it's really not doing an awful lot here. I'm gonna have to start using my finger, I think, see if I can play with that. Even then it's just so lackluster. Yeah, this palette is a bit of a flop. Would not recommend. That's annoying. I wish I'd just gotten more of their other highlighters that I know that I liked instead in different shades instead of this. It just didn't really do an awful lot of anything, to be honest. I might add some more bronzer and highlighter a bit later, just something else in my collection. But in the meantime, I'm going to move on to brows. So I got their clear brow gel because I actually really needed some more clear brow gels because I've literally got like one left in my collection and it's basically run out. I also got their ultra fine micro brow pencil. I love a good micro brow pencil, so I wanted to try that. But I'm going to start with the clear gel and use this to brush through my brows. It's a little bit gloopy, so I think I'd need to wipe that off a little bit in the future, but it's done the job. So let's switch to this micro brow pencil and fill in the brows. It's in the shade dark brown. Okay, I think the pencils worked pretty good. I think this gel is just a bit too like gloopy. It's just, I don't know. See, I want to brush it through with it again, but is it just going to make it too wet? Let's just tap off with the excess first. Yeah, with that gel, I think I just tap it off in the back of your hand a little bit before you use it, but after you do that, I think it works okay. The brow pencil seems to work alright. It's maybe like a tiny bit like warmer than what I normally go for, but it seems to have worked okay. I mean, I feel like the brows look a bit messy right now, but it will do. We'll just go for that messy brow look today, I guess. Back to the eyeshadow, I'm using a bit of the matte white, and I'm going to just pop that in my inner corner, seeing as our highlighters are kind of shit. We'll just have to use a matte white. On the lower lash line, I think I'm going to use this lilac-y purpley shade. I don't know where I'm going with this, I'm just making this up. Let's see. And I'm going to add a bit of this sort of purpley blue darker shade up near the lash line. So I'm going to use the Intoxicate mascara and just do my bottom lashes. Okay, so lastly I have got a lipstick. This is their Lip Junkie lipstick and it's in the shade Negligee. And it's quite like a pinky nude sort of shade. It said it was matte online, so here's hoping. It's actually quite like a berry colour. I would say it is more on the matte side actually, which is quite surprising. I feel like a lot of cheap lipsticks that I buy, let's say the matte ones end up not being matte. It's not like a really dry matte though. Yeah, that's quite a nice lipstick actually, I quite like that. So I'm just going to clean up all of the mascara mess I've made, which is a lot, and sort my hair out and then we'll be back. Okay, so we're back with the finished look. So overall, I'm definitely like pretty damn impressed with the products. I feel like they've definitely upped the game. They've stepped up in terms of quality since I've last brought a haul from them. I have to say, I feel like the base products in particular I'm most impressed with. I feel like my skin actually looks really nice, and considering my skin is like a textured rash acne mess at the moment, if I can find base products that actually do good things for that, then that's great. I feel like the foundation worked really well, the concealers worked really well. I think that this blotting powder worked really well. I'm not so sure about the rice powder that I used under my eyes. I mean, I think the finish isn't too bad. It's a little bit heavy under the eyes, but the colour obviously it was a bit of an issue with that one. But the rest of the base products I feel like all performed really well, and I'm very like impressed with. The eyeshadow palette was actually pretty decent as well. I'm not mad about this eye look I've done, but I'm never mad about the eye look that I do in my first impressions. But I feel like a lot of these rainbow matte shades have performed really well and are super pigmented, so I'm not really sure about this Lash Drama mascara, but I do quite like the Intoxicate mascara. I'm liking this lipstick actually. It is more on the matte side, which is great. And the colour, it's obviously not a standard nude, it's a bit more like kind of berry, but I do actually quite like the shade. The brow products worked reasonably well. I would just say with that gel, would just wipe off like a bit of the like gloop before you use it, but after that I feel like it works pretty good. The brow pencils seem to work pretty good, but I will need to like keep trying those out more. I'm not fallen in love with them from first use, but I feel like they could be good. The only real like bad product I feel like we tried was this guy, the Prism Princess powders. This is just, I don't get a point of it. It's just not pigmented. Why are the pans so small as well? Yeah, just don't get this. This is not good. Get Gorgeous highlighters because they're really nice. I kind of wish I just bought some more wearable shades of those. I guess I could still get some off Amazon or something. Overall, I feel like the majority of products here I'm really impressed with. So all of these products I will put in my rotation. I will be using them over the next 2-3 months, and I will do an updated makeup review on them. So that will be my November-December one, which will probably be out like late January, early February, just because I do like to have quite a bit of time with the products. And we are in a lockdown in the UK, however me, the schmuck I am, is still at work and doing more hours than I did before. Two other staff members got put in furlough, so I had to pick up the slack from that, and yeah, it's all a bit of a mess, and I don't have loads of time to sit and play with makeup, which is really sad because I love playing with makeup. It makes me feel happy, and it's just like a de-stress thing for me. But I will play with it as much as I can on pretty much all of my days off now, because it's not like I'm going to be going out anything on my days off for the next like month or so. But thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.